Hi, we're Karen and Simon.
We're coaches with over 100 years' experience in being human and currently living in Bristol in the UK.
A coffee chat about emotions and being human and the challenges our coaching clients face led us to this series of videos.
We aim to share our thinking and experiences to help you navigate the mayhem of working life. So, let's get going. Hi, Simon.
Hi, Karen. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very good. So today we're here to kind of reflect a little bit about resilience, aren't we? About bouncing back after a bad day, um, about how we can bounce back. Maybe a couple of ideas that people can take away to think about their improving their resilience, if that's what they want to do, and also how to support other people's resilience. Yeah, so we'll kind of cover those. So first, I'm kind of thinking, resilience have lots of definitions out there, aren't there, for resilience? I'm just kind of thinking, so in terms of your coaching clients and your experiences, how would you define resilience?
That's a massive question. Yeah, I mean, resilience is such an incredibly interesting topic because it can mean so many different things to, so many different people in the moment. But I guess for resilience, you can always go back to the a basic idea of just, bouncing back from a setback, a trauma, something that just didn't go as planned. And then you can layer onto that, whatever you feel is the perspective that you have. So, there are changes in your resilience over time as you grow, as you develop, as you experience different things. There are going to be changes to how society expects resilience to be. So there's all sorts of different layers. Yes, it's quite complex to define, but what I love is that you can define it yourself in the moment. You can define Simon's resilience today was made up of all these different things.
Mm, that's great. Yeah, and I guess I would define it maybe in two different ways. Maybe, yeah, I've had a bad day. I've got to go back in for a similar day, similar environment the next day. How am I going to get out of bed in the morning? Yeah, just building up that energy, if you like. And then if I have too many bad days where I'm having to kind of draw on my resilience, I might be thinking, okay, something needs to change. And the resilience might be in terms of, okay, what needs to change? Um, and I guess the time when I've had to draw on my resilience an awful lot, when I was quite stressed in a role, eventually it was like, okay, I'm not doing this role anymore. It's just too much. I need to get out, not keep getting up in the morning, jumping back on that treadmill because I realizing it was having a detrimental effect on my health. So yeah, so resilience wasn't served me in that point. I needed to get out or change, certainly change the job. So yeah, you're right. It changes at various points in time, isn't it? Making those judgments are quite important in that resilience thinking.
Yeah. And I think, you raised this issue of just being self-aware. So much of what we talk about is just stems from having as good a grasp of yourself as you can, because as we know, if we are going through stress of any kind, then it's very easy, isn't it, for our self-awareness to kind of just shrink away, and before you know it, like you described, we're digging into every bit of resilience we've got when we may
Mm.
not have had to.
Yeah, resilience helps us to survive, but it doesn't help us to thrive.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be good to kind of reflect for a few moments on what do we do in terms of resilience? What does that mean for us, if you like? Um, yeah, so and what are we hearing our clients are doing in terms of their resilience and yeah, how we support them and being more resilient. So what are your thoughts around yeah, that reflection at the end of the day or whatever you do to kind of be resilient?
Yeah, I guess there's two main views I see regularly, and one is in that job type where you're just having to go in and just relentlessly deal with, uh, things that might not give you the satisfaction of getting completed at the end of the day. So thinking about, big public service organizations where it's just feels like a battle, and I'm actually seeing and hearing that language of warfare. It's like a battle every day. And so,
Mm.
yeah, just introducing to those clients, um, an option. There is something, there is a choice there, and the choice may just seem like a little glimmer in the distance to begin with, but working with them um, to talk about writing down at the end of the day, what happened? What did you feel? When did you feel at your best? What are you, and why? When did you feel at your worst, and why? So really, it's just bringing in those really simple ideas of self-reflection, um, to develop this idea of we do have a choice, but exceptionally difficult.
Mm. And there's also, you talk about resilience after a difficult day. There's also that resilience when we made a mistake at work. So that feels really bad, it's embarrassing. And some of the times with my coaching clients, again, it's reflecting. So reflecting on first forgiving yourselves. We're all human, we all make mistakes, even though some might be more embarrassing than others. Um, and just kind of reflecting what was the learning from that? What would you do differently if you faced it? So, for example, sometimes maybe people have kind of made a mistake or embarrassed themselves in a presentation. They fumbled over what to do or what to say or froze it. I've got stage fright. So I might be thinking, okay, what would you do next time? And the next time you have to give a presentation, how might you be different to prepare or during the presentation or after it so they can perform slightly better? So there's also that kind of resilience that comes after a setback and getting up and doing it again. Because I quite often coaching clients might be thinking, oh, that was an awful experience, very traumatic, as you said, and I don't want ever to do that again. I'm going to avoid it. But there is another option, particularly if it's important for their career and their career development. There's a skill that they need to learn, and we just teach it as a learning moment. And yeah, there's that forgiveness that's quite important, and that reflecting about what worked well that you talked about, and what are we going to do about it? So um, and when people are a bit stuck, where my coaching clients, I might talk about, okay, you've got three options. You can either accept the situation that you're going to stumble through presentations and just accept that that's the way things are, or you can change the situation. So maybe say, I'm not going to do any more presentations again. I'm going to find a career that doesn't involve presentations. Or I might change myself. I might skill up myself, maybe practice, so that I am feeling competent and comfortable giving presentations. So sometimes when people are really stuck or really in the moment, like, oh my gosh, that was awful, helping to see different options like that can really free them up to kind of think about what next. And that's what I love about resilience. It's sometimes it can give to personal growth. When things go wrong, how can we grow from this bad situation or something negative that's happened? Um, yeah, that's kind of what I love about it, the opportunity for growth that might be there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think for me, the first step, it's a brave step, but the first step is to share. Share it with somebody because you're so unlikely to come up with your own, another perspective on your own. You might have that space, that breathing space to sit back and during your reflection, just think, oh, maybe I got the wrong end of the stick, or maybe they weren't the audience weren't against me. Maybe they were, really, really wanting me to do well. But yeah, just sharing all this with another, someone else that you trust and you trust to be honest and open. Um, because yeah, without doing that, then those perspectives aren't going to come. And often, as I always say, saying all this stuff out loud to someone else is just there's a real strong kind of idea of healing. It's very humbling, embarrassing. You feel shame, but come on, just the quicker you can come to terms with the fact and forgive yourself that we're all human, we all make those mistakes. They are uncomfortable, but the more efficient we can be with getting over that first step, the the
Mm,
brighter the future.
mm. And that, yeah, I guess that's a key element of resilience. Yeah, like speed of bouncing back. So people are very resilient. They'll come back quickly, more quickly than people who are maybe less resilient. Yeah. So that takes us on a little bit to kind of think about managers and leaders and how they can support other people's resilience in the workplace. So I'm kind of thinking, when we were thinking about this call today, you were talking about, yeah, you've heard managers saying, that person's not resilient, they need to be let go or out of the organization. So it's generally seen as quite a negative trait, isn't it? Not having that resilience. So
Yeah,
and it got me thinking about kind of behaviors that leaders might see or managers might see. So it might be maybe they're seeing someone who, after a negative experience or after making a mistake, might be blaming other people for the mistake. Maybe they are making excuses for themselves. Maybe they're just generally whinging, feeling sorry for themselves. And if there's a pattern in that with everything, because in organizational life, there are always things going wrong. Nothing goes as expected, do they? So I'm guessing if they see a pattern in those kind of behaviors in somebody, that I can see how they may be thinking, oh, gosh, this is such hard work. Let's get them out. But there are things that a leader can do to help develop people, can't they? Develop their resilience.
yeah,
Did you want to say a
absolutely.
little
And
bit more
it's
about that? Yeah.
yeah, for me, I'm just passionate about well, let me just say, I was that junior leader who would make decisions about other people's resilience. I was a military flying instructor, and we would have very young men and women going through their flying training. And I was an instructor, and you were in a real position of power. You could decide whether somebody carried on with their flying training that they've dreamt of since they were a child, or if they weren't resilient for any reason, you could have them removed from training. Now, I'm proud to say that I didn't do that, but it was there, and I was always making those judgments. And I look back and I think, wow, that was really arrogant and wrong because I didn't know my own resilience. I didn't know myself well enough. So for me, for leaders, managers, it is all about learning yourself first so that you can then understand other people. And it's not two steps, it's one step because it seems to be, from my experience anyway, pretty much automatic. The more you learn about yourself, the more you unconsciously then are able to empathize with somebody who's feeling low in resilience, for example. But unless you understand yourself first, you're not going to be the best leader or manager that you can be. And I
Mm.
forgive myself. It took me years to work that out.
So working on our own self-resilience and yeah, and developing that and being, yeah, that self-awareness. And I guess when we support other people, then it becomes much easier, maybe just to accept everyone's human, people make mistakes, and helping them, maybe a coaching style conversation with that person to help them understand and what went wrong and what they can do differently. And yeah, just
Yeah,
help them through that bump. And that helps them to develop their resilience skills as well, because they learn through that questioning around, yeah, it's not the end of the world, they can build back. And then just saying, okay, what maybe the end of the conversation, okay, what are you going to learn? What we're going to do next time? And just agreeing timelines, and that can help people get focused again, doesn't it? And stop them kind of cut out this kind of excusey, blamey, feeling sorry for themselves kind of thing that makes resilience really low. Yeah, so they bounce back a bit
mm,
quicker than they might have done before.
yeah, yeah. And I think being aware as well, when we say bounce back, it doesn't mean literally, ta I'm 100% okay. You can allow a little bit of time for a bounce back to happen. Because, all these things, uh, you know, emotionally are quite hard. If you're embarrassed in front of a few people, it might take you a few days or a few weeks to fully get that out of your system and feel like you're one of the crowd and you're worthy of being there. All these really kind of difficult layers to what it is to be us.
Mm. And sometimes when with resilience, people it's how people interpret situations, isn't it? So I'm thinking about somebody who was supporting, things went wrong and they kind of overgeneralize, like, oh, that one thing went wrong. That means I'm rubbish at everything in my job. Oh my gosh, I need to leave the career and blah, blah, blah. So they've overgeneralized their thinking and it's helping them realize that that's just one thing, doesn't define who they are as a professional. They still have many other strengths. So sometimes it's helping contain those, that negative thinking that spreads into other areas, which is why it's important, like you said, to focus on strengths a little bit, what worked well in that situation. Usually even when really bad situations, there's at least something that went well. At least one thing, isn't it, that the person did well. And that's something that we can build on.
Yeah, and just, this is where talking to someone else, if that other person is a coach or a professional, even better, because they can help you pick up on your own language. Because often when you're low in resilience, you start talking about how bad you are at everything, and it's really interesting to have someone else just to be able to just reframe it. It was just one tiny mistake. Nobody's going to judge you, and everybody does this, and it's just,
Mm.
real. Um, it's just real simple stuff to reduce that amount of downtime that you have, so to speak, and then just to, get you going again.
Yeah. And when organizational life is so fast paced, it's becoming more and more important to bounce back quicker. So, completely agree. Having that coach who can understand the different thought processes that lead us to be less resilient and kind of challenging beliefs and thoughts that maybe aren't helping clients in the moment can be really, really helpful.
Yeah, and get yourself a
Okay.
cheerleader. Everybody needs a cheerleader.
Yes. Yeah. Great idea. And a coach can help that, but also having somebody in the organization as well. So somebody you
Yeah,
trust, like you said, somebody you trust in your team or in the wider organization is really, really helpful. Mm. Okay. So, Simon, if somebody wants to contact you to talk a little bit more about emotions and resilience, how would they contact you?
oh, very easy. www.simonshawcoaching.com, and yeah, all this stuff is really easy to chat about. And how
Thank
about
you.
yourself, Karen?
And yeah, for me, it's Karen at aspirecc.co.uk or www.aspire coaching and consulting, all one word, .co.uk. Thank you very much. Cheers.
No worries. See you next time.